Button. Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less to build your business. Today, our guest is Tom Matzen, and he started some 82 businesses of his own, 7 of them reaching 7 figures or more. More importantly, his personal coaching clients have generated more than 100 million in sales in dozens of industries. He shares real-life stories of glorious triumphs and is on a mission to empower 10,000 authority entrepreneurs to build 7- and 8-figure businesses over the next 5 years. Welcome, Tom. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hi, Cindy. So glad to be here. Excited to share, and thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So excited to talk with you today. And to begin with, I mean, you started a lot of businesses, so I'm sure you've had a lot of successes and failures. So
a lot of drama. Yes, indeed. Lots of drama.
Lots of drama. And so if you could share a challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success with us, that would be great.
Well, how many hours do we have? How many hours do you want to? Yeah, I remember in the prep notes for this, I had that question, and I thought, gosh, there are so many challenges. Part of the reason why my bio still says made and lost millions is because some of the best lessons came from that. And I guess the one that I settled on that I thought would be best to share in a short period of time, we had taken a company public on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It was a franchise company, and we were growing very rapidly and scaling, and we were hiring a CEO to take over for me as part of the plan because I had no public company experience. And our philosophy was the public markets were filled with sharks. So we needed to hire a shark versus a dolphin like me. We needed someone that was, could handle the sharks and deal with the sharks. And so we recruited, we hired a firm. They had some 600 candidates, narrowed it down to the top 12. Me and our board interviewed them all, got it down to the top 2, and both were amazing. But one was like a super shark. Like he really knew how to be a shark, okay? And way overqualified for the size of company we had. He was used to running companies with 1,000 locations. We had a few dozen and wanting 1,000, but it was a very different scenario. So anyhow, I was convinced this guy would be the right guy to go with. The board was convinced. My wife at the time was absolutely convinced it would be the wrong thing to do. He said, he's a shark. He's going to steal you guys blind. And we're like, no. His compensation is linked to results, and we're going public. So he has to build the stock up before he gets all this. And she goes, well, your call, but that's my advice. Well, of course, she was right. We were all wrong. 6 months in, he took all the cash out of the company. We got delisted because we couldn't file our quarterly filings as a public company. And I'd already stepped down from the board. He basically persuaded everyone to look the other way and put the thing into receivership. And so on paper, I went from 21 million in stock to 10 million in debt in about 6 easy months, as I like to say. And the lesson was never, ever, ever play with sharks. Like never go into business with sharks. You can market with sharks. You can promote for a shark. But if you go into business with a shark, their job is to eat you.
Right.
And they will. This was a $21 million lesson. For those of you listening in, get the book, Strategy of a Dolphin. It's only available on Kindle now. And it talks about dolphin, sharks, and carp. And you'll get the whole context of what I'm talking about. But fundamentally, I think you got a pretty good idea already, Cindy, right. Is that, sharks, it's all about them. Kill or be killed. And they're not team players. It's not about win-win. It's about kill or be killed. And so that is definitely one of the biggest lessons. Now we actually screen all of our clients, even our free scholarship people, we screen for dolphins versus sharks because we know it'll be much more fun to work with. They'll be better people, and it's more honorable,
What really struck me about the story too is that your wife was like, no, it's not going to be right. So her intuition. So now how much do you lean on your intuition versus just logic? Does that go into
and that was the interesting thing. Really good question. My intuition was he was a total shark, but my brain said that's why we need him, so that he could compete with the other sharks out there. So it wasn't a matter of ignoring my intuition. My intuition knew he was a shark. That's why, one of the reasons why I was interested. So that's how stupid I was. Because it was like, no, I consciously chose that path. So this wasn't about listening to my intuition. This was about breaking my own belief system. And so when I look back at it, the lesson is, if you have a set of core values that you stand for and you've taken the time to figure out what they are, not all of us have, but if you've taken time to do that, listen.
And I love that. That's exactly what I always say, is even for strategies. People always say, what strategy is the best strategy? And I'm like, well, first of all, it has to align with your personal core beliefs and values. Otherwise, you're not going to have fun doing it, and it's not going to work for you.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Lots of ways to succeed, but you want to align with your values for sure.
Exactly. Yes. It's so important. I always say, people, if you didn't get into business to be miserable, then find the strategies that align with your values. And you talk about authority entrepreneurs. So what is an authority entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's a term that I coined to describe those of us that have wisdom and knowledge and that we want to package and bring to the world. My old mentor and business coach was Jay Abraham, and Jay had a saying all the time that he said, if you have a product or service that brings value to the world, you have a moral obligation to reach as many people as possible. It's a fantastic way to think about it, right? It's about, you have a moral obligation to get it out there. Well, in the world of authority entrepreneurs, we have learned either how not to do something or how to do something so that you can, make money, save money, stay out of jail, better life, better relationships. Those are the big five. If you've learned that, I believe you have an obligation to share that with the world. And we figured out a way to do it so you can charge a lot of money, make a lot of money, and therefore give back a lot, be very philanthropic, whatever you choose to do with it, all at the same time. And so I think it's a very important thing. And there's a Brendan Burchard used to talk about this. He called it perspective. Perspective is knowing what to do, right? The knowledge, and the wisdom to know what to do in what order. Combine that's perspective, right? Dr. Google will give us 1 million pages on anything, right? It doesn't matter what the topic is. Lord, I can't even imagine if I search. Pardon me?
It's always true.
Right. It's always true because it's in writing. It's got to be true. Right. So you've got the knowledge is easy, right? People aren't paying for knowledge. It's the application of the knowledge and the order that you apply it. That's where the power is. And I like to say that our job as authority entrepreneurs is to bring order from chaos.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. That's what they're paying us for. We're bringing order from chaos. And so even the fact that you've got, a tip that we're going to talk about in a moment of 15 minutes or less, I love that, because in order to do that, you have to eliminate a lot of strategies that take longer.
Right.
And you have to organize your thoughts. And when you're executing, you have to organize your activities. That forces order on you. And as an entrepreneur, let's face it, we're like so easily distracted, right? If you know Alex Sharfin, and he calls it entrepreneur personality type, we're ADD, ADHD, DDQ, F, B, C, I, W, every alphabet under the sun. In fact, as people talk about the shiny pen phenomena, right? You get distracted with the shiny pen,
right?
Or the squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
I actually call it the shiny pen squirrel phenomena.
Right.
Because in the middle of being distracted, we get distracted. That's how entrepreneurs are, right? So we need focus, we need discipline, and we do need order from chaos. Mm-hmm. And so, we work with people that have learned stuff and want to put it together in a way that adds value to people's lives. And we figured out a way where you can guarantee results and as a result, charge a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And make the type of money you deserve to make.
Right.
So
I love that. And with order to chaos, even like with the reason why I chose 15-minute strategies wasn't so much for the chaos, and I appreciate that feedback. But in my mind, I used to always go, I only have 15 minutes. I don't have time to do anything. So I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to play on my phone for 15 minutes or play on Facebook. And so I started thinking, how many other people do that if they only have 15 minutes? Because you can get so much done in 15 minutes whenever you know what to do and you focus on it.
Love it. Love it.
So next, I know that you share, Tom, a business strategy that people, oops, I'm sorry. I lost myself.
You never lost yourself. Your camera just disappeared.
That's why I love editing. I edit me out more than anybody else. Okay. And Tom, I know that you teach entrepreneurs how to make 250 in their first year. And I think you touched on it a little bit when we were speaking about the authority entrepreneurs. So what are the steps for an entrepreneur to make 250?
Yeah, 250,000. Just for those of you tuning in and think it's $250, because that's not going to cut it.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, here's the good news. It's the same strategies we teach people to make $1 million a year. Exact same strategies, just doing a bit more of it. And it's a 5-step process. We call it creating a game changer program, because when you do this, it's a game changer for you and it's a game changer for your clients. There's a gal in Austin, Texas. Her name is Katie Sharfin, and she says that the saddest thing in the world is a broke philanthropist. And I agree, right? If you want to do good in the world, if you want to make the world a better place and you're broke, it's pretty tough to do that. Exactly. Right? It's pretty tough to do that. On the other hand, if you've got lots of cash flow and lots of profit, you can do a lot of good in today's world. And so let's go through the 5 steps if we got time. You want to do all 5?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first one is you got to solve a big problem. You got to solve a big problem. If you're solving small problems, you're not going to make big money. And the 5 problems that count are making money, saving money, staying out of jail, or in the corporate world, they call it compliance, right? Having a better life and having better relationships.
Where does
those
health fit in there?
Well, that would be a better life, right? Okay. Better life. Part of a better life is health. And so those are the 5 areas. And what you want to do is say, okay, which one of those can I be the most effective with? And then here's an advanced strategy. If it's the better life or the better relationships category, add ... for entrepreneurs. And now you've got the potential to even do some of these amazing woo-woo things like clearing chakras and balancing alignment and, getting rid of money energy blocks that are in the way and all these other things that I lovingly call woo-woo. If you tie it into an entrepreneur, you can have massive impact on their lives. So that's the first key. Does that make sense? Solve big problems. Ideally a 6-figure or even a 7-figure problem. Now, if you're listening in and you're like, but I don't do that. I just develop websites. Well, then think about what do you need to do to extend or add to what you're doing so it is solving a big problem, right? Because here's a newsflash. Nobody wants a website. Nobody wants a website. What they want is what a website can bring them. Or more clients, more impact, more income, right? They don't want a website. They want what the website can bring them.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's one of the keys to really understanding solving big problems is you want to focus on that sort of outcome. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay. Next up, number 2, and I said it earlier, it's so important. Our job is to bring order from chaos. People want to know their life's going to be easier with our help, right? That's why they will pay us. If we don't bring order from chaos, we're not worth paying. And so there's a couple of things you need to do in order to make that happen. The first is you organize your method or process or system into 5 stages. And we don't have time to get into why 5. Suffice it to say, thousands and thousands of people have been testing this over the last several years with us. 5 is best. 3 used to be okay, not anymore. Never more than 5. The thinking there is that's too many. Now I'm confused. Right. So order from chaos, 5, and less than 5 is now, well, I'm not sure you're providing enough value. So by the way, if you have 12 steps to your method, I'm not saying throw out some of the steps. You just might be step 4 might be do these 6 things.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
So you organize it into 5 stages. Then you name your process or method. Very important. And I'll give you a big hint, especially for the women creatives out there listening in. Don't try and come up with a fancy, special made up name. In fact, it's way more powerful if your name is clearly about the outcome of what you bring, right? So in the visibility world, 6-figure visibility program, 7-figure visibility program, build a tribe of 10,000 people, build a tribe of 5,000 people. Like any of those would be great names for your process because they're measurable, they're clear, there's no confusion. I'll give you an example. One of our most profit-producing programs is called $1 Million Book Launch Program. What do you suppose our offer is, Cindy?
A book launch.
Yeah, and what's our outcome we promise?
How you can earn $1 million with a book.
Yeah. I mean, we literally guarantee $1 million within 18 months. And so $1 Million Book Launch Program, that's the name of it. So you can do the same thing. You got to name your process. You got to come up with a name for it. And then here's the real extra for experts. For every one of the 5 stages, you create a finish line and a prize. A finish line and a prize. The finish line, so your clients know when they're there, right? Like in a race, you know when you get to the finish line. We were talking about cruising before we started the interview, right? In a cruise ship, you know the finish line. You're in port.
Right.
Right? There's no confusion. It's not like, I'm sort of there. No, you're either in port or you're not quite yet in port. Right? When you're there, you're there. And so the finish lines are important so they can have a sense of accomplishment. And then the prize is what's in it for them with your finish line. With your finish line. So sometimes when you're preparing, the prize isn't so obvious. You got to work with this a little bit, right? Like in our programs where we help people create high-ticket programs that they can guarantee results for their clients, in the beginning, they blueprint this program and validate it before they sell it. And validating it just tests whether or not it'll sell, but they're not selling it. So they're not getting any sales. What's the prize? Well, the prize is your program will sell.
Right.
And if it's a high-ticket program, you can build a 6-figure business or more. That's a prize. You haven't sold one yet, but you're like, I know I can. Fantastic, right? You see the difference between prize and finish line?
Yes.
So the finish line in that example would be you validate your program. The prize is you have a business that will sell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the very next stage is you fill your pilot, your first 3 to 5 people, you've done at least 50,000 in sales. So that's a very easy to measure one. So sometimes your finish lines and prizes are easy. Sometimes they're more esoteric. You got to work on them a little bit. But you need to do that with your 5 stages so that it's clear you're bringing order from chaos. Make sense?
Definitely. Makes a lot of sense.
Number 3, this is a personal belief system. Build your program so you can do good and make money at the same time. Right? Most of us have heard of Tom Shoes, right? Have you heard of Tom Shoes, Cindy J?
I don't think so.
So Tom Shoes is an online shoe place. Your husband's not going to like me to tell you this, but you buy shoes online, and every time you buy a pair, they donate a pair to kids in need. It's really cool.
Yes.
They've given away over 100 million pairs. Mm-hmm. Which means how many pairs of shoes have they sold, Cindy?
100 million, right?
Yeah, over 100 million pairs. Like you buy one, they give one. It's an awesome idea. And there's people that do it with socks, and there's people that do it with bracelets. You buy a bracelet, they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean now. You build, I call it a transformational contribution program so that the busier you get, the more you help.
Right.
The busier you get, the more you help. And customers and clients today love that. They love that they're making the world a better place while they're getting your product or service. And in fact, they're actually, not only do they love it, they're more loyal, they refer more often, and they willingly want to spend more with you. The 3 characteristics of what I call a raving fan. Mm-hmm. You got a happy customer, you got a really happy customer, and then you have a raving fan up here. Right? And that's the distinction of a raving fan, those 3 things. So you're creating raving fans when you do good and make money at the same time. Plus, frankly, I believe businesses messed up the planet, and it's up to business to fix the mess. It's not up to government. It's not up to the UN. It's not up to nonprofits alone. It's up to us entrepreneurs, right? All the things that matter in life, some entrepreneurs figured it out somewhere along the way. So why not be the same people who fix the messes and get paid nicely for fixing the messes at the same time, right? So there's an example of that, and it's the third element of the 5, right? So we've got, if you think back, right, what was the first one? Solve big problems. Then second, bring order from chaos. Then do good and make money at the same time is number 3. Number 4, and it's a big one, guarantee results. Guarantee results. If you want 9 times as many people to raise their hand and say, tell me more about your business, tell me more about your program, tell me more about your coaching, tell me more about your massage service, tell me more, 9 times as many offer a guarantee. Now, you don't get 9 times as much sales, because when you offer a guarantee, guess what? You're more picky. You don't say yes to everyone, which is a really good thing. You're far more picky about who you work with. So our experience is you'll triple your sales. You'll get 9 times the inquiries because you're picky. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we don't have time to teach the entire method that I use to guarantee results. But here's the thing. Know that you can figure out the biggest, boldest possible guarantee you could offer, and then build enough redundancy into your program so that you get there no matter what. Now, our special secret is, and link your payments to the price. Link your payments to the price. That $1 million book launch program I mentioned to you, right, it's a $100,000 program. Mm-hmm. But we only ask for 12.5% up front. Everything else is linked to results, including the last $50,000 that only happens once they've made $1 million. Super honorable, much easier way to play the game. And here's the cool part. You talk about a 15-minute strategy. If you come up with a way to guarantee results for your clients, you will at least double your sales with way less work. So my 15-minute tip is, okay, I'll wait, is coming up soon. So don't turn away. Otherwise, you're going to miss how to double or triple your sales in 15 minutes. Yeah. So that's number 4. Any questions about number 4? Oh yeah, one thing. My old mentor, Jay, called it risk reversal instead of a guarantee. And I actually prefer that term because the goal is to take the risk off your prospect's shoulders and put it on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. That's the honorable thing to do, right? So if you're going to make a high-ticket program in the visibility world, right? If you were in, and by the way, the scholarship we're going to offer people, you're invited to apply as well if you want one. We would help you create something around visibility where you would guarantee visibility. Now, maybe that's the size of your tribe or the size of your following or the amount of revenue that a large tribe could generate. Any one of those are possible outcomes. They're all measurable. They're all quantifiable, and they're a game changer. Right? They're an absolute game changer if you talk to someone and say, yeah, what I do is I help increase your visibility. Specifically, I help you build a tribe of 5,000 raving fans. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. What? How do you do that? Well, thanks for asking. Let me tell you. Right? And it's natural. It's like they want to know. You don't have to pitch someone. Pitching is so old school. It's not how anyone wants to be sold. No one wants to be pitched. Even those type A personality salespeople who love to pitch, they don't love to be pitched themselves. If you ask them and get to know them, they'll, oh, no, I don't want to buy a car that way. I don't, no. Right? We want relationships. We want connection. We want genuinely people listening to us. We don't want to be pitched. So with a great guarantee, one of the beautiful things is you don't have to pitch. In fact, our job, we teach our clients, your job is to screen and qualify and invite people in that are a perfect fit and don't invite everyone else in. So your job is to actually kick people out. It's way more fun. It's way more fun. Let's see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, off we go. And if it's not a good fit, bye-bye. So that's number 4. Make sense?
Makes sense. And number 5?
Number 5 is you got to make your program scalable. Scalable means things that have very little of your time necessary to succeed. In fact, the best definition comes from Frank Bria, his book Scale, where you add a client and you add 0 of your time every time you add a client. That's a high bar. Let's face it, that's a high bar. Our scholarship program, we're at that level. But most of our program, $1 million book launch, we're not there yet. No way. It's a lot of work to get $1 million in sales guaranteed in 18 months, right? So we're not there yet, but that's the goal. And there's 5 elements to that. The first is virtual training, right? You record your content, put in the cloud. Everyone does that. But that's the best way to learn. That way you can stop, pause, rewind, right? There are people right now that have probably paused this podcast and rewound because I talked so quick on some of these things, they want to hear that again. Right. And I mean, this is like going to be a multi-million-dollar bit of advice in this podcast. So hopefully you'll stop and pause and rewind it a bit. But some people can learn at that speed and that's fine. They don't need to. But most need to stop, rewind, play again. So virtual in the cloud's the best way. Second, group coaching, not one-on-one coaching. Hear me, people tuning in. One-on-one coaching is the least scalable thing you can do. You are trading your time for money. Most people know that. What they don't know is it's worse for your clients. Well, how could that be, Tom? It's one-on-one. Yeah, it's one-on-one, but it's one-on-one without leverage. Our group coaching, we describe it as one-on-one in a group setting. So when you ask a question and 20 other people are listening into the answer, or 50 other people, or 5 other people, guess what? They're going to ask follow-up questions. They're going to want clarity. They're going to want to restate. The end result is we all get better faster in good group coaching. It's better than one-on-one. And it's why super high-end entrepreneurs don't want one-on-one coaching. They don't want one-on-one coaching for themselves. They don't want it. They want that high-end effect that happens in a high-end mastermind, for example. Right? You mentioned Christian Michelson, Justin Livingston. I happen to know them both. I happen to know they're both in multiple 6-figure high-end masterminds where they're cutting checks for a big amount of money. They also sell their own, but they also cut their own checks. Why? Because at that level, the collective wisdom is better. And that relates to the third part of scalable, which is masterminds. Masterminds done right are the greatest force for good in business. We have an entire division that's setting up local area masterminds for people so they can run their own mastermind and make a 6-figure living and help businesses in their local area. And we're so confident with that program, we 100% finance it. So, because done right, masterminds are the greatest force for good in business. Now, key with the mastermind is you're not the guru. You need to get out of the way and be a facilitator, and everyone in your mastermind is the wisdom. And so the most powerful question, and write this down if you're listening at home, write this down. How does this apply to me? Or if you're the facilitator, how does this apply to you? How does this apply to you? How did that apply to you? And you ask that question so that not just when you're in the hot seat, but everyone else around benefits. Then you have power. And it's an amazing impact in your mastermind. If you only benefit when you're on the hot seat, it's a low-level mastermind. You want that total collective wisdom. Total collective wisdom. And then so most programs will have virtual training, group coaching, and masterminds. The other two are in some, but not in all. Scalable, done-for-you services, and live events and workshops. You only add those in if it's necessary to get the outcome you promise. Right? And so templates are a good one, right? Templates are a good one. I'm doing lots of podcast interviews now promoting our scholarship. There's a one sheet that we created. You would have seen from our podcast team, a template of a one sheet. If you're in the podcast business, you could have a template of the one sheet and do that for other people. But you wouldn't recreate the one sheet every time. You would have a format and you would put their information in, take my information out, and it's ready. That is scalable. If you make a brand new one every time, that's not scalable. You see the difference? And then, of course, live events and workshops. Live events and workshops. We were talking about JVX and their new partnership with Iman and Rich and how they're growing it. That event is very good if you want to get face-to-face doing deals and building high-trust relationships. Right? There is a time and place for live. And it doesn't matter how many viruses are traveling around the planet, right? There are times where live is better. Right. There are also times where live is just a waste of time. So only add live if it's better for your clients getting results. Otherwise, live is a big investment of time and money. It just adds to your costs of your program, lowers your margin, and doesn't always improve the result. So don't let the ego of live, because boy, it's a lot of fun running events. Once you figure it out, it's a lot of fun, especially if you're on stage. They're like, oh, wow, look at you. This is awesome. We love you. We love you, right? There's an ego factor of running live events. Do not confuse that with better results. Better results. Sometimes live is necessary. Most of the time, it's not. So those are the 5 pieces of a scalable high-ticket program. Make sense, Cindy?
Makes a lot of sense. You're so full of wisdom, Mr. Tom. I can see why your clients have made hundreds of millions of dollars. And so now is the time for you to share a 15-minute strategy with us that we can implement in 15 minutes or less.
Fantastic. And I appreciate that. And I know we're running right to the edge of the time, so I appreciate squeezing all this in. What I would do is I would create an amazing guarantee, amazing risk reversal. And here's the steps to do that. Figure out the biggest risks your prospect face when working with you. Make a list, all the risks they face. Number 2, create the biggest possible guarantee you can create for them. Like, come up with the biggest possible thing you could. And then number 3, figure out how to deliver on that. And then number 4 is a concept called anuragging, which the short form is come up with at least 3 ways to deliver on that promise. Not 1 way, 3 ways or more, but at least 3. And then number 5, link your payments to your client's results. You can do this in 15 minutes the first time through, and then test it on your next couple of conversations with prospects. And you will find, without knowing any of the details that I've just described, we've got lots of free training where we get into this on our sites, but even without that, just positioning it, we have people that will have this conversation and go, I signed 2 people up for my high ticket program. And I'll say, well, you haven't created it yet. You haven't even blueprinted it. And they go, I know, I just bounced the idea of the guarantee off them and they bought. And they're giddy. They're just giddy. So you can do that in 15 minutes. If you take 15 minutes a day and go through each of those steps, in 1 week, you have a powerful guarantee and redundancy. And all of a sudden, you want to talk about visibility? How would you like to be the only chiropractor in town to guarantee results? Or the only business coach to guarantee results in your field, or the only whatever to guarantee results in your area? It's so powerful. Your visibility goes way up because you're the best. You're guaranteeing it. Everyone else is like, yeah, well, but they don't guarantee it.
I love it.
But I do. I do. Right?
And I know that you have a fabulous gift for us. So can you share what it is?
Totally. We did something last year as a bit of a test experiment. We gave away $1 million worth of our most popular high ticket program, the Game Changer Program Academy, which teaches people to do what I've been telling you to do all interview long, how to create a high ticket, high margin program that guarantees results for your clients. And it comes with coaching, and it comes with training, and it comes with all the stuff I just described. We used to sell this for $15,000. Now it's a $10,000 program. And we're giving away this year, in 2020, $10 million worth of scholarships. We decided to go all in with this strategy. And so literally, if you're listening, because of Cindy J, you can apply for a scholarship. But I will tell you, right now, about 79% of the people that apply get accepted. So you're not guaranteed to be accepted. If you have no authority and you're not prepared to put any time in, you will get rejected. I promise you. But if you've got a start or an idea or a possibility and you're prepared to put some effort in, chances are you'll get accepted, and it's 100% on us. It's completely free, and we love it. The work we're getting, the results we're getting is so inspiring. We'll make sure we have a link for Cindy to have displaying below here somewhere wherever you're watching this. I'm pointing on a podcast. That's pretty funny. Somewhere below in the cliff notes and the show notes, you'll see a link, and it takes about 7 minutes to watch the video that describes it all. And then it takes about 5 or 10 minutes to apply, and you'll know right away. And we'd love you to come join us and build your own high-ticket authority program, which, by the way, I didn't say this yet, but we teach you how to sell it as the first thing you sell. Not an ascension model, not down the road. That is not the way to do it. We don't have time to explain why, but I'm telling you, it is not the way to do it. And the guys we talked about earlier, the rock star guys, none of them did it that way.
Right.
None of them did it that way. Neither should you. If you want more impact, if you want more influence, and yes, you want more income, consider applying for the scholarship. We'd love to have you on board. And Cindy, of course, you're invited too.
Thank you. Yes. And if you're ready to apply for the full scholarship to the Changer Program Academy, then you'll want to visit bizsuccessin15.com/Tom. That's biz, B-I-C, success, SUCCESSNIN, the numbers 15.com/Tom, all lowercase TOM. And then go ahead and apply for your full scholarship, and you can't miss it because it's a big green button. And so, Tom, do you have any parting words for us?
The last thing I would say is, being an entrepreneur is full of ups and downs. And if you don't know that, you haven't been an entrepreneur very long. So just know that, embrace it. And rather than fight that, make it your goal to make your dips shorter and your recovery stronger. And if you can, make it a continual cycle that gets higher and higher and higher levels of impact, because that's really where the income comes from. That's where the difference comes from. If we focus on impact, we can change the world. So thank you so much, Cindy J. Really appreciate your time and passion here.
Oh, well, thank you, Tom. It's really been a pleasure having you as our guest today. And if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. Everybody needs Tom's words of wisdom. And as I mentioned earlier, hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Tom, and you'll find all links from today's show. You'll be able to re-listen to Tom's words of wisdom to catch any notes that you might have missed. And while you're there, be sure to push the button and apply for your full scholarship for the Changer Program Academy. Big hugs. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week with another great episode. Bye-bye.
Fantastic.